I'm Levi Morgan, and you're listening to the Maniml Mindset Podcast. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. We have been away from it
for a minute.
Yeah, but we've been we had a really busy hunting season. We did a good job of kind of backlogging podcasts before that, but as expected, we got really busy. Micah doesn't live here anymore, so that makes it that we all have to kind of be together to do these. So we have to plan it. Then we ran out of podcasts, and
you can't let a bunch of killers get in the hunting season and worry about podcasts.
No. By the way, what you got on over there, bud?
Yeah, let's get that out of the way.
Oh, this old chestnut. This is 2023 national champion.
Congrats.
PMR team. Yeah.
Congrats. Pro male release. IBO national champion, Joe Cadle.
Yeah.
It is an honor to have you as a guest here today.
Listen, guys, let's be honest. We're up here recording YouTube content. I'm going to be doing the breakdowns this week. I'm doing a couple reviews on some of my favorite gear.
Good.
Doing a live Q&A session at some point. Mm-hmm. You're irrelevant. I'm the captain.
I'm not arguing with you.
He just has so much credibility.
I agree. I think it's amazing what you've done for the sport. I do. Big fan.
Well, there was a long time it was going like this.
Yes.
I enter the equation. That's where you get
you
that
can't
it's
argue.
the hockey stick.
Yeah, numbers don't lie.
Revenue.
Numbers don't lie. Needle mover.
Yeah.
That's what
influencer.
Yeah, big time. Anyway, we have Joe Cadle obviously in here.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so we've been trying to get together to do more podcasts. Honestly, we enjoyed doing them. But we just have been really busy. I've got 4 kids. Micah's got 3 kids. Joe's got 2 kids, maybe one on the way. I don't know. I just said that, but I feel like
let's hope not.
Maybe that was the Holy Spirit telling me he had 3 kids. I don't know.
Maggie, watch out.
Oh, no.
No, but we all have lives separately too, and so it just makes it tough. But we are going to do a better job. We're back on track after a really fun, successful hunting season.
It was
great.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of the best in the last few years.
My favorite.
I feel like it was intense, but it was also a little more fun, it seemed like. A little more chill. Mm-hmm. Not so, let's just go grind. It seemed like we got to have some fun. You got to kill an animal.
I did.
Or 2. I got to kill a few animals. You got to kill a few animals. We got to take our kids hunting a couple of times in the spring and in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
So it was I feel like I got to take it in. Mm-hmm. Every year I feel like we're going from one to the next to the next to the next. Hunting season's over. I can't even remember what happened.
Well, for you go hunting season straight into
tournaments.
Yeah. There's no real off button, and then we got hunting season straight into off-season projects. So I feel like you don't really get a chance. But
break.
Turkey season's coming up now, though, so that's Thank you.
Bass fishing, turkey season. But yeah, it was a little more laid back. We didn't stack the schedule like we normally do. We normally have done so many trips.
You hunted a lot here and filmed yourself.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed it too, man.
I think that's what took a lot of the trips off.
It did.
Chasing after
another thing too is when you have 4 kids, it's like I want to be home.
Yeah.
I want to be a husband. I want to be a dad. I want to have somewhat of a normal life,
Right.
And so I hunted a lot here. And I was chasing a giant until rifle season ended and he lived, and then decided to let him go. But I had a ton of fun hunting with Landon. Landon wanted to go.
Landon almost killed that giant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first sit almost killed him, giant. And so I'm not going to show any pictures of that deer until he's dead or disappeared or I'm an old man. But yeah, we're hunting a big one. But Landon did almost kill him. We hunted a lot with Landon. Landon told me this year he wanted to do his hunt out of a tree with a compound bow. Didn't want to hunt in a blind and didn't want to hunt with a crossbow ever again. He's like, I want to go do it like real bow hunting, Dad.
Did he put
welcome to the game?
Yeah. How did I was listening to a podcast this morning with Steve Ranella and Cam and Joe Rogan where I think Steven was talking about his son wanting to bow hunt, and
those 3 guys don't podcast, do they?
Mm-mm.
No.
So they got low numbers compared to this. But what was Landon like? How much did you make him put into that commitment? I guess because that's a big step.
Yeah.
From crossbow blind up to being up in the air with a compound.
Right. Well, it was more of a step. The bigger step was going from a crossbow to a compound. Mm-hmm. The blind thing, I love hunting out of blind, like grizzly blinds.
Right.
Now they are killing machines, the blind. It's still not the same experience though. You know, that intimate experience of the wind swirls and it's over in a tree. You hear every noise, you see every squirrel. So last year he went from the crossbow to the compound, killed a buck. Micah filmed that hunt. So at 10 years old, he killed a buck in PA with his compound. That was a huge jump. He probably wasn't ready from an accuracy standpoint, but I didn't think we would get a buck within 20 yards, and we did, and he killed it. You know, wasn't a great shot, but we got it. This year, he was shooting really, really good out to 30 yards, but I still put a 20-yard max on him and in the woods, and it was tough. I mean, if you're a bow hunter, you know, especially with an 11-year-old who has limited time, he's in school, so we're going out in the evenings trying to run out in the woods, and it's not, he can't saddle hunt yet. He's too young, can't really run a climber, or hadn't taught him to. I think.
Invaded?
Is that a lawnmower?
Yeah, I think it's a spaceship, actually. I don't even think they'll be able to hear it. We're just looking like complete idiots right now. But my ventilation system just kicked on. But yeah, so he didn't have a lot of time, and he's very restricted, but we're hunting in lock-on, so sets that are hung or a ladder stand or whatever. But still, we had probably more fun this fall hunting together than I've had ever.
Did he miss one this year?
Missed one, and he hit one we never found, but it bounced off. It was the weirdest thing ever. And
how do you emotionally do with those situations?
Great. Yeah, I mean, he teared up when he missed, but we had such a great night that it was hard to even be upset. And the one he missed was not one of the big ones that we saw. So that night we saw like 5 Pope and Young whitetails in the timber on a white oak ridge, and had this 8-point come up like 10 yards, and it caught him drawing because we have to shoot 40 pounds. And so 35 here, but he's shooting 40. So he struggled a little bit, wasn't like the smoothest thing, and it caught him really quiet, that dead quiet, like 10 minutes before dark. You know how it gets this super still, and it caught him, and it hopped out to 20, and it was on pins and needles, and it just ducked him. He made a perfect shot, and I think I put that on my Instagram feed, him missing. But he teared up, but he was like, we got to come back. Like, he just fell in love with bow hunting through that, and then he almost killed Forerunner, the buck we're calling Forerunner. And I didn't take my bow.
Wild.
It was a bad move, but honestly, I'm glad now because he made it.
Are you though?
In a way, yes. But like, first thing, like, we're sitting there and I see something weird out in the CRP, and I look, and he stood up and shook off. We walked right past him, bedded in the CRP, 60 yards broadside, fed around, bedded back down, and then just kind of walked in the woods. But we just got to experience some things together that was really, really cool. In the one he shot, he hit back, not really back, he hit in the last rib, and I've never seen it, but he's got like a 20-inch draw and 40 pounds. He's shooting a fixed head, but it hit and went in about the length of the broadhead and just kind of bounced off that rib. No blood, no nothing. But we saw so many good deer, so many cool experiences. One of them, he was on the ground, and I'm climbed into the tree to pull his stuff up, and he's getting dressed at the base of the tree because we had to walk like a mile in. We call it the back of the cabin water hole. And I look up, and there's a nice 8 walking right at us. It's like 1:30 in the afternoon. And I'm like, psst, buck, come and get your release on. So he's digging, gets his release out. He's so nervous he can't get it buckled. This deer's at like 15, 10. Then it sees him, thinks he's another deer, bristles up at him. And I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like hanging on one arm up in the tree, videoing with my phone. And he's like trying to get his bow, trying to get his release on, and it turns and starts to walk off, and he finally gets it buckled. But he talked about that forever, named that buck Charger because he thought he was going to get charged.
That's awesome.
So that deer will be on the hit list for him next year. Just ton of memories, and he didn't kill anything.
But he'll probably learn more than he's ever learned.
Learn more than, and it makes you, there is some controversy that could be brought in here, and I don't want to do that with the crossbow thing. But I feel like a lot of people miss the boat of true bow hunting, like what he learned as a kid, the same way I fell in love with bow hunting, because you have if he's crossbow hunting, that deer's dead,
Yeah.
So many of these bucks are dead. If it comes within 60 yards, it's dead. There's no learning curve of having to experience those failures and figure out what went wrong. What do I need to do better? I have to practice to be efficient further so I can kill that buck the next time it walks by at 40 yards instead of having to let it walk.
Yeah.
Takes all that part out of it.
I'm doing some of the same stuff. It's not with bow hunting with Harris. He's only 6.5. He'll be 7 this summer. But he killed his first 2 turkeys this spring. And they were like sitting in my lap. I'm kind of helping, guiding him a little bit and letting him aim, and he pulls trigger when he's ready. But now he's getting bigger. We've been sitting in the yard. I've got him with a BB gun. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to put him in a bog and like set it down the tripod, let the tripod do all the work.
Yeah.
And I was telling Andy, I want him to like know how to put his elbow on his knee, know how to hold the gun, cheek it up, and do that before he skips over to. Once you know that, then you can put it on a tripod or something like that. Just like driving a car. Learn how to drive a stick. Then you can learn how to drive an automatic, or how we learned. Because I think it's important to see that and experience that before you just skip over, because then, if you skip over it, you've lost it.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
If instinct a little bit.
Yeah.
And turkey hunting will teach you.
Yeah.
I mean,
it'll show you when you mess up.
Yeah.
Quick.
And if I think turkey hunting is a great way to introduce kids into the outdoors, because it is not easy, especially the run and gun. And Landon killed a Jake a couple years ago sitting up against a tree. Hunter filmed that, I think.
I think so, yeah.
But that teaches them when they can move, when they can't.
Yeah.
How to blend in, back cover, front cover, some really essential keys they'll carry the rest of their life hunting, no matter if it's elk, deer, whatever.
Yep.
Now, turkeys can't smell, but if they could, I wouldn't even try to hunt them.
Yep.
But yes, overall, a little more laid back season. Had a ton of fun with Landon. I guess we better get into it because we got to make this pretty short because it's Taco Tuesday at the Morgan House.
Taco Tuesday.
I can smell the elk burger from here.
About to indulge.
And I'm drinking Starbucks cold brew with sweet foam on top.
This podcast is not brought to you by Topo Chico.
But it is.
Or Black Rifle, unfortunately, even though I'd really like for it to be.
Or Topo Chico. Black Rifle, Topo Chico. We
can
do a
Starbucks.
collab.
I will not work with Starbucks. I will drink their coffee because Samantha got it from Target, but
it's not bad either.
It tastes good.
Yeah. But
anyway.
So let's start, I guess, where we started, in Oregon.
Yeah, that was fun.
Joe, you missed out.
I wasn't there.
Dog.
You weren't there.
No, I wasn't there for Oregon or Wyoming.
Let us fill you in.
Yeah.
Let's fill you in real quick. So we got the invite from a good friend of mine, Matt Elliott, who works for WorkSharp, who I'm also not sponsored by.
Shout out to some great products, though.
Yeah. Great products, great people. I am in no way endorsed by them. Not in Starbucks. Black Rifle, great product. Mm-hmm. They don't sponsor me. WorkSharp, one of my best friends, makes that decision.
Refuses to write the check.
Refuses to even offer. Yeah. It's fine. I'm over it.
It's a personal thing.
Yeah,
it is. It's not a good fit for some.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We don't use knives.
Yeah.
Or broadheads.
Yeah, whatever. Or drink coffee. But we got the invite from him and the Born and Raised guys to go out and hunt Oregon elk in some of the toughest terrain.
But coolest. It was probably my favorite terrain to walk through.
And those guys, let me tell you something.
It's like a jungle, I've heard.
Yes, Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
nice.
Just reminded me of Vietnam.
And zero elk.
Crazy.
It'd have been really cool if there was elk in it.
That would have been.
That would have made it.
This is on the good hunt list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
Well,
cool.
I killed one.
Yeah. The company made this trip.
Yeah. The people. Yeah. It was like a camping trip with the coolest people on earth. Yeah. Like we had Andy Morgan, Trent. I mean, the whole Born and Raised crew. There was a bunch of them there, but they were like Trevor, Steve.
Noah,
Cody, all the camera guys were just. It wasn't like this fancy setup. It was.
Oh, that's right. Y'all showed up, and y'all didn't have a canopy over your tent or something.
Oh, it was just an easy up.
It was an easy
with
up
no
with
canopy
cots
over top. He's like, if you need the canopy, let us know.
Yeah, and we felt like we were wusses because they slept on the ground under their trucks.
Mm-hmm. However, they had a canvas cutter.
Yeah, it was nice.
And they were dry.
How do you not, nobody raising up, hitting their head in the axle?
I would never do that. I don't trust vehicles that much.
Or have a nightmare and just knock yourself back out.
Done.
Yeah, but me, Andy, Micah, and Hunter slept under the easy up. They all slept under their vehicles.
Which it was nice.
I was gonna say,
what if I sleepwalk and try to take one of those vehicles for a drive? Somebody's under it.
Dude, imagine.
Over. Anyway, But we laughed so much, ate good food. We split up into 2 teams, just so everybody get a chance to hunt with each other. Halfway through the week, we switched. Everybody just kind of. But they literally dedicated their whole week to getting me and Andy a bull. Like, they didn't hunt; they just worked their butts off for us, and we made friends for life.
Footage turned out good.
Footage turned out
great for filming or hard for filming.
It's hard to carry all that gear and keep up in those I guess they're mountains. I mean, it's right on the coast, so you're on the beach, but you're in some of the most rugged country we've ever hunted.
It's big cutovers, clear cuts. It's thick.
Yeah,
thick,
it is
steep.
cool for filming. Like if it would have, like when I think it was first morning when that spike came in.
Oh, dude, that big skunk cabbage.
Yeah, if that would have been a shooter, it would have been.
Dude, this cabbage in the bottoms is literally head high.
It's cool,
and we could hear this elk crunching it. So the Roosevelt elk are not like Rocky Mountain. They're more like a whitetail, and they have one bull will have like 5 cows. There is no herd. There's no herd bulls, satellite bulls, that kind of thing. It's a whole different scenario, and they're very territorial. Like this bull runs this area. It's not like Rockies where in the rut they got 40 cows. There's a big bull and then 20 bulls trying to get in. It's not like that. They don't talk very much. So we would just go blind call. We're going 200 yards cow calling setups. Move in 200 yards cow call. And then all of a sudden you hear footsteps coming.
And you can hear everything in that cabbage.
Oh, yeah. And you're like, elk coming. You know, and out pops a spike it's the tiniest spike I've ever seen for an elk.
You wanted to shoot him, didn't you?
It's not legal, or I might have, But it was just some really, and then we sat there and took a nap down there. Just so peaceful, man. No cell service. And literally no elk. No bull.
Andy was on elk.
Andy was on elk every day. We had the bad hand as far as
gar hole.
In a way, I mean, we were hunting the same territory.
Yeah, it was we
were hunting the same drainages and stuff. But
I'm a terrible hunter.
Yeah,
I'll just say it.
You heard it here, live
on the Maniml podcast. But it was it was just they're not easy to run into, and so Andy ran into several bulls, but never panned out. It's not.
That
not
just goes
easy
to show how hard it is. Like, I mean, because you're on them.
I have a ton of respect for those guys because they grind it out in that stuff every year and are successful every year. And day in, day out, they all normally end up killing one.
But you killed one.
Yeah, last day. So the last day, so we had 4 days. On the final evening, they're like, hey, we're going to take you to a new spot. It's kind of a swing for the fences type deal. They're either there or they're not. And we go. They had trail cameras out, and they had a picture of a shooter bull there that morning. And so we go, literally crickets. We hike around in the most elky looking stuff you've ever seen, apple orchards up in the pines, and it was the sickest thing. It looked like some of Hansel and Gretel, if you could imagine that story. I don't know where that came from, but just seemed fitting.
Yeah.
No elk.
Definitely.
They left, migrated to a different state. So we're like, what do? We got an hour and a half of light left. And he's like, let's just shoot around to the backside of this ranch and hike into this meadow. Maybe we'll get lucky. We literally start walking. We walk like a mile, run right into a herd bull with 4 or 5 cows, just bedded in this meadow. So the sun's going down. Shadows are really long. So everybody stayed back except me and Micah, and they filmed and watched from like a quarter mile away while we stalked in all the way in on this herd. And I shot that bull at like 70 yards, I think, and hit it right in the shoulder. I was like,
bingo.
It was over, like your shoulder shot.
Oh, instantly. That sick feeling in your stomach, like this is how I'm going to start my season. I'm going to start my season because it fired right on his shoulder. I knew it instantly. I'm like, he was kind of quartered to, and so I'm like, I don't want to shoot him in the lungs. It's not, because then it's going to be like 1 lung liver, and we're going to have to track him all over this. So I'm like trying to be right in that crease, and it just went right, boom, fired. And I was like, that's not good. And it was like, pow. I was like, nope, I'm already reloading an arrow. Like, range him. He ran out and stopped at 120 in the meadow. I'm like, dial my sight. I'm like, that sucks. And as I'm getting ready to knock up, he falls over dead.
No way.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
And we celebrated because we worked our butts off. And we could hear them screaming from a quarter of a mile because they watched the whole thing.
They ran the whole way to it.
Yeah. And it was just, dude, it was like hugs, high fives. It's one of those camps where everybody is pulling for you.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
No jealousy, no egos, just really good human beings, really good hunters,
Mm-hmm.
really high moment to start the trip. One of the things, in Trevor, was his back out that night? Something.
I think he had some back problems the whole week. He was hooked up
Yeah,
to that
yeah.
electrical.
That's right. Yeah, he was having some serious lower back problems. So he comes driving in all the way with his truck up this meadow, and
Luckily, it fell in the field, and we
it
didn't have
fell
to go
in the meadow, dude.
pack it out. So.
It was just the perfect end. It could have been a nightmare, but it was just like this coolest start to the year. Then that night was probably the worst night.
So let's hold on pause. Let's do a little quick rating system.
Yeah.
So of the hunts in the year, 1 to 10, because this is just going to roll straight into the next hunt. But 1 to 10, what do you rate it?
Camaraderie 10, hunt.
Overall,
I'd give it a man. That's hard,
That
dude.
is tough.
Just hit it. Gut. Go with your gut.
This is weird. I feel like I'm put on the spot. I would give it the hunting was not great. So the camaraderie was exceptional.
We get it. You love the people.
I'll give it a 7.
There you go.
It's from a hunting
Yeah. Overall trip.
overall
7.
perspective.
People 10. Overall trip 7.
People,
Yep, people 10.
if there was a higher, I'd give it a higher.
Okay.
I'll go back.
Okay.
If I couldn't hunt, I would go back just to hang out.
You'll get born and raised.
I'll get born and raised.
Oh yeah.
I was born and raised. Hey, and their elk calls, not sponsored by them either. The best I've ever used. Those
Okay.
boys can call.
They are the best.
All right.
Sure.
Micah.
Oh, I'll have to answer it too.
Yeah. Because I wasn't there.
Don't you up me on this and make them hate me.
Well, I was gonna give it a more like professional score, like Dave Portnoy, and give it a 7.6.
Here we go.
That's fine. Give it 7.6.
He is a rookie. It's okay.
I was put on the
7.6
spot.
and a 7. Oregon 7.67. Let's roll into the next one.
Well, that
I
night,
will say this though: if he hadn't have killed, it would have still been a 7.6. I think.
100%. The hunt, dude, I did not see a legal bull until the one I killed. It was
Right.
we were just hiking with cool people all week. I mean, literally.
Just some hippies in the woods.
Yeah,
all-
just
that's all it
eating
was.
lunch, packing lunch. It was really good.
Yeah.
That night was the worst night of the year for sure.
Yeah.
By far the worst night because
Worse for you.
worse for me. I had the short end of the stick because Andy Morgan likes to drive.
Yeah.
You know how much he likes to
Let
drive.
me guess. Made it about
Down the
30
driveway.
minutes. If he even got in the driver's seat.
Didn't get in the driver's
Made
seat.
it about 45 minutes. Said,
Yeah.
"Hey boys, when y'all want to drive?"
So we had to leave for Montana and Wyoming the next morning at like 6.
I think we flew out at 6. Right.
So we had to be at the airport at 4. We didn't get the elk back to camp until midnight, and we had a 3-hour drive to the airport.
I mean,
no
it
s-
sucked for everybody, but Levi drove.
And dude,
I'd
it
have been
was
asleep so quick.
it was one of those deals where we get him quartered back to camp, pack, and we hit the road at like 1 with a 3-hour drive straight pretty much to the airport. I think we stopped at a hotel for an hour
An hour. I think to shower.
to shower. No, I didn't go to sleep.
I don't think so.
And it was the worst thing I've ever experienced. Like it was dangerous, like head numb. Everybody's in the back trying to help me and stay awake, but they're just in and out. And Andy's like, "You need me to drive?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm okay." You know, if I, and he offered, I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
But it was a rough night, and then the whole day, the next day flying was rough. But that led into that coveted hunt, the elk tag in Montana. I've been wanting to draw that for Yeah.
So the lowest low to probably
The highest high of my life.
the highest
Yeah.
of the year, I would.
by
Say,
far,
yeah.
I
maybe
think it
the
was
decade.
the most anticipated hunt I've ever
Yes,
went on.
because I had
Again, I wasn't there.
again,
You
yeah,
missed out.
that was
Well, Clay.
something
Clay
we
me.
yeah.
Clay, way to go, bud.
So this is with leaving the Born and Raised guys. We went to Bighorn Outfitters. My buddy Dustin, the crew I hunted with for years, been friends with since before he was an outfitter. Another great human being who I consider one of my best friends. And Rich Sweeney, the whole group there is same deal. Salt of the earth people with incredible hunting skills, incredible ground.
Really, I want to emphasize good people because Dustin's the one that just shared pins with us back in bear
Yeah,
season.
like-
We called him
Yeah.
in the middle of the night and was like, "Hey, we can't find any bears. We need some help."
Mm-hmm.
And just here come the pins of like, "Try this. This is your glassing spot. I know there's some
Yeah.
here. I know there's some here." Who
He
else?
was right. I mean, we went straight to one of the pins and spotted a
bear,
sow and
yeah.
cubs,
Mhm.
Instantly. So he's
Yeah,
a
Dustin is
Anyway.
great dude.
the whole group, the whole Jen, Dustin's wife that cooks. It's just a cool experience, family experience, and that's where like I take all my buddies normally for the year. Not
Before we get too deep, give Jen a little credit here. She gets up at like 4.
Dude, it's insane.
Cooks breakfast for everybody, and there's 15 to 20 people in camp.
Yeah.
Is this Dustin or
Dustin.
Rich's wife?
Dustin's wife.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then packs everybody's lunch.
Ooh.
And whether you say 6 sandwiches or 1 sandwich or 2, it's going to be in a bag for you the next
Yeah,
morning.
you fill out a card detailed what kind of sandwiches you want, how many, what on them. They're in a bag with your name on it the next
Love
morning.
that.
Oh, it is. I look forward to
She's
it.
a saint.
She's a saint.
Anyways.
And but Dustin's kids, so funny, dude. I got to tell a story
Mm-hmm.
on Weston real quick. Dustin's little boy's Landon's age. So we go out there this year after the whole hunt was over. We take him fishing. So we're at this pond sitting there, and he's got a crush on a girl at school. And so he's telling me about this girl. He's afraid to ask to be his girlfriend. And
He's going to be so upset with you about this.
oh, he's already upset with me about it. I can show you the letter he wrote the girl afterwards. But he's like, I wanted to ask her out, but I'm just afraid she'll turn me down, and I don't want to be embarrassed, and I just scared. And I said, Weston, you have got to be confident. I'm like, where are you going to see her next? He's like, a soccer game. I'm going to look up this text so I can read the letter. But I was like, you got to walk right up to her in front of all her friends and all your friends and ask her to be your girlfriend like you are the man.
It either works or it don't.
Well, I told him, I said, look,
that is bold, son.
bold. I said, look, I did this in high school. I wanted to date the homecoming queen. I had a crush on her. I said, I asked her out over the intercom for the whole school. I was a sophomore. She was a senior. She said yes. I was the man at the time.
Had she said no,
That was the time it worked.
Oh, yes. Well, let me just pull this up. Dustin sent this to me later. And so Weston was all pumped. He's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I said, you got to. And then I forgot about it. Well, this is the letter Weston wrote the girl after she turned him down. Dear Kaylee, I'm sorry for asking you to be my girlfriend in front of the soccer team. I'm just very sorry for that. Tell your friends all about it.
this poor kid.
Kick Colton in the shins all you want. He deserves it. I couldn't find the right time to ask you, but my dad's friend said it would work, but he was wrong. Weston. So that's the letter he wrote this poor girl, and I am sorry, Weston. I gave you some bad advice, probably unprofessional advice, to be honest with you, and I regret it for your sake. Anyway, moving on. I drew a really good tag with Dustin.
How many years did it take?
The last time I drew that tag was 4 years ago, and I shot a big 7x7, 361, but we did not have access to the ground we had now.
And this is a Montana or a Wyoming tag?
I'm not telling. I don't want anybody to know, because the last time I posted where I was at, I got yelled at by all the locals, and I totally get it. But it was a coveted tag, and we had access to some of the best ground in Montana. This isn't public land. I get it. It's primo private, like 400-inch bull type stuff. Potential. And I had my mind set on nothing under a 380?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we go there, and I have really no idea what to expect because I've never elk hunted this ground.
Mm-hmm.
But the first drive in that morning, right at daylight, because we were really just getting a feel for it, trying to find a bull we wanted to go after. A lot of alfalfa feels low. Then it goes into some wastelands, burns. I mean, you can go for miles and not see a road in there too. I mean, it's desolate, but it's full of big elk. So first morning, we probably see 10 bulls over 350 from the truck. I mean,
Wild.
But it's big herds of 100 elk going back up into the burns. Really hard because the access is where the fields are. So you have to find a way to get in front of them in the mornings. It's almost impossible. But there's a big river that runs through this whole property. So we find this bull that is just a stud. You know, obviously bigger bodied and old, just muddy, giant 8x6 that is just dwarfs everything, runs everything off.
Stacked on his rack, and we didn't know what he was really.
Yeah, just could tell he had huge fronts, long beams, and he ruled the roost.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we get a glimpse of another bull that's giant, and they ended up killing him later. I don't know if I told you
I
that,
didn't know.
but he was 396.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so I said, out of the first 2 days, I think I was like, we had looked over so many elk, and I said those two I would shoot, you know, but I had the whole season, and Dustin's like, you can come back. So I was like, I'm not shooting one Like for me to pass a 350, I've never even dreamed of passing a 350, but I was going to there.
You did.
I did. Yeah.
You did. First day, I think.
Yeah, first day. It was probably 360.
Yeah.
Did you even have to think about it, or was it just
No.
like you knew, like you saw it, you're like, nah.
No, because it'll spoil you because we saw several every day that were that caliber.
So
And
it's
so
like Cactus Jack.
yes,
Yeah.
for whitetail, except it's you're walking miles,
Right,
to find them. So we made a plan. We seen kind of where this 8x6 had went, and it was the hardest to get to place.
Of course.
Period. Like the only way there was to cross the river, and so we just decided, hey, let's start at daylight and get in there and hike all the way back into this valley. We don't know where he goes once he goes through this gap. It's just a big giant chain of valleys and hills and pines, so he could go anywhere. But he's leaving the last 2 mornings through this gap. So we went and set up, and we got in there. Probably took us till lunch to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, as soon as we get there, like we didn't hear a bugle the whole way.
Was that unusual to your past few days?
No. No, the middle of the day it was shutting
Yeah,
down.
it was starting to get
Yeah.
quiet.
We actually, the one I passed the first day, we got on middle of the day, but we got on him in his bed,
Mm-hmm.
just fired him up in his bed and called him in.
Yep.
But these were kind of shutting down, but they were going so far. I think they were just more out of hearing distance than shutting up, because once we got in there at lunch, soon as we got to the edge of that big valley, you could hear them
It was
scream over here.
chaos. It was crazy.
It was the coolest, probably personally for me, the coolest hunting experience of my life. That from just sitting there, and we were within 200 yards of probably over 100 elk for however long it was till dark hours,
Yeah.
and they never shut up. And then I'm like, well, the chances of them coming right here are not great, but we can't walk in there. We don't know where he's at.
Right.
We're gonna have to walk through the elk to get to him. So we just gotta hope. We gotta keep the wind right, and hope that he comes within bow range of this little. It was kind of a swag, like a belly in the hill, and an easiest route to get back to the hayfields. And so we set up there, and instantly the first elk that comes out, an hour and a half before dark, walks 50 yards right through our lane. And then it was single file for like probably an hour.
At least an
There
hour.
was over 100 elk
And
walks.
at that moment, both of you, did you have a feeling like this is about to go down, or were you still pretty pessimistic? Because you can,
Pessimistic.
yeah.
How
about you?
I had a feeling that we were going to see the bull we were after, that he was going to come out way up top, and it was going to turn into like this run and gun situation
Right.
where it wasn't going to play out perfect. Like if he just walks right here, it's money.
Yeah.
I was anticipating picking my camera up and running 2 miles back to the bottom to try to beat him to this alfalfa field and get back in front of him. But
Which you for sure would have.
we could have. Yeah, we were set up super like mobile because we were in a bunch of cedars and we could just hide the whole way.
Right.
So we could have got back in front of him. I feel
It wound up working out perfectly.
I mean, I don't know what I would have changed. I don't think I could change one thing about that hunt and make it work any better than it did.
No, I was very, the only thing I was, skeptical of, and because I've just seen, once you're that close to so many elk, normally one of them gets downwind of you and then blows the whole
Well,
thing.
one almost did. So
Yeah.
right before the bull comes in, one cow splits off, and me and Hunter are like 10 yards behind Levi.
Yeah.
Starts walking up in the woods with us, and we're just both looking at each other like, it is over,
Yeah.
dude.
Because we can hear bugles coming, and then it's not him, and then
Yeah.
bugles, and it's not him, and I'm like, where's he at?
A cow was bugling.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen that. I've heard of it,
Wild.
but we all watched it, and I think filmed it.
Yeah, I filmed it.
Did it sound?
different.
It sounded like a bugle, but like a
like a
short-
young
it was
bull.
Just like just
We
cut
should
off.
play that audio right here
Yeah.
at
If
this
we-
at this point.
At this point in the podcast, we should. Yeah, we can go
Alright.
back and find it. If not, we got lazy and didn't do it. But yeah. There it was, folks. You heard it here. Cow bugle.
Yep.
But yeah, then we heard this bugle faint, and I'm like, oh, it sounded like a big bull. It didn't sound like the rest of these bulls, but you can't really tell from an elk, so I'm still like, eh. And it was just elk after elk after elk, cow, 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 cow. And you can see in the footage, you can go watch the film. The film's up.
Miles of silence.
Miles of Silence on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. And all of a sudden I look, and on the hill behind me in the skyline, I see plain as day, the beams, the fronts, 8x6, giant. He's in the very back. The last elk to come through out of hundreds is him. I mean, that's just, the chances of it working were not great.
Right.
And
You saw him. You see him.
Oh, I see him. I said, get
First-
ready.
First thing. You see him. What happens? Like, what goes through your head? What happened?
Honestly, it had been such a good hunt, good experience at that moment, and I knew I had the whole season. I felt zero pressure. I was like very thankful, and I think I even said out loud, I said out loud, thank you for this experience. And I was saying that, and that's before I killed him. I was just so thankful because I had never experienced anything like that and figured I probably never would again in my life. That many elk that close for that long without it blowing up in your face. But then finally, I see the cow that's in front of him come through, and the next thing I look and see his fronts coming through the cedars, and I'm like, I'm about to get a shot at this bull. And so I draw back, and I know I've ranged every piece of sage in front of me, and he walked through 55 yards, and cow called, stopped, and he turned, and it's like I can see it as plain as day, and I put my 50 in his lungs and just doom, perfect executed shot, and he fell over in sight. It was just
It was wild. I was shaking my head before he ever even shot, just because I was just like, this is unbelievable.
it was so cool.
Where it stopped and him in the frame is like, that's what I dreamed. That's where
I'm
feel
upset because Clay Mean was supposed to come, and then I was going to be
Mhm.
y'all's third,
Like, yeah.
Yep.
but everything got shifted, so I didn't get to live the moment with you.
No.
You could probably call Hunter and ask him how it went.
Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe if he answers.
we'll phone a
Yeah, if
friend.
he
I
answers.
hadn't heard from him.
Might
in
be
a month.
asleep right now.
Yeah.
No, he's just waking
He
up.
ain't woke up yet.
He's just
Yeah.
waking up.
But it was, then Dustin stayed back. And so Dustin wasn't with us either. He had stayed way back in the bottom watching to see if they got around us, how they came out. And we had got a glimpse of a bigger bull, and this bull I shot ended up going 379 and some change, I think. So it was right at the mark I said. That's where I'll put
So you lied, but
I lied to myself, but I knew I was lying to myself
Yeah.
because if a 370 come out, I was going to shoot it.
That'd be hard to pass.
Yeah, but it was just the coolest thing to be there. The storm. There's like a storm brewing in the background,
Yeah.
lightning, thunder, starting to sprinkle rain. You walk up on the biggest bull you've ever shot by far, on top of the mountain, great views. It was it wasn't like a lot of celebrating, like you like sometimes it is. It was more of like this solemn,
Just gratefulness.
because there's still bugling in the background. It was
Wow.
very, I don't know, intense but intimate up there. But something I'll never forget. And Dustin was, I see his headlamp coming up the mountain.
And we had zero phone service, so he didn't know. We couldn't tell.
Couldn't tell him we
They did.
killed
We
one.
just smoked it, but we were just flashing our lights. Like,
Yeah,
he-
like
he's-
get up.
that's what he said.
Knew.
He's like, I knew when y'all were doing that. Like, something went down.
But he still was like, did they wound it? Did they miss it? Did they shoot
Yeah.
a different bull?
Yeah, what was it?
Well, and so he gets up and it's laying there, in the meadow. And it was just, couldn't ask for anything more, than that. But it's always that way with those guys, whether we're mule deer hunting. It's just special. So
Well,
that was that hunt. That
I guess it's obvious, but 1 to 10,
10.
2.5, 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, people were low. Hunt
Yeah.
was,
If we would have seen
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
decent bulls,
yeah.
It sucks in a bad,
Yeah.
being with the bad people.
You know what? I don't even want to give the born and raised guys a 7.5. It was a different experience. It was a 10. It was a 10 for Roosevelt elk hunting. But if you compare it to the Montana hunt,
You said what you said on record.
okay, that's
already.
fine.
should have went 9.
It's fine. Trevor, Trent, Steve, Cody, y'all know what I mean. The hunt was tough. We didn't see a lot of elk, but you guys are 10s all day in my book. Anyway, had to say that.
Yeah.
Um,
We need to do a time check.
no, we're at 40 minutes. We're good.
Cool. All right.
So let's get into whitetails.
It's Nebraska. Me and you.
Is that where we went first?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nebraska.
Yeah, you're good. I'll keep talking.
Yeah, it was September. So whitetail, September,
No,
Nebraska.
the next hunt was Kansas. Me and Levi drove out to Kansas.
No.
No, me and
Oh,
him
you
went to
and- you guys
Nebraska.
went to
Yeah,
Nebraska.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
We went to
it was-
Nebraska. Didn't kill anything. Had a great hunt.
4 days.
4 days. Worked out a lot.
Ate some healthy
Ate
food.
healthy.
Saw some big deer.
I should have passed the deer. I never should have passed.
For 3 days straight, morning and evening,
Mm-hmm.
we were at 100% success rate of blowing out deer. Every deer that got within, I'm gonna say 300 yards,
It was bad.
You'd be sitting there. Oh, there's a buck.
Gotta love those early season
Gone.
thermals.
Well, let me tell you something about this year. The wind never blew the way it was supposed to blow. It was the worst year I can ever remember for weathermen getting it dead wrong. And they've always got it wrong. Don't mess this up. They got it wrong almost 100% of the time. Like they don't even have to be right ever to still have a job. I mean, it was say going to be blowing southwest, getting a tree northeast.
You almost have to go opposite. And almost like every time.
Yeah.
Here's my theory. The wind didn't blow much at all, period, for the first month and a half of whitetail season,
Which that's never good. So
which is not good. Light and variable is like your worst enemy. And so what I think was happening, if it would say 2 mile an hour out of the northwest, there's like this undercurrent down low that it's like under going the opposite of what it's doing up high. So I don't necessarily think they were wrong of what the wind's actually doing, but they were wrong for where we were sitting almost every time. So we had to started to figure this out as the season went, and that we spooked a ton of deer. But I did pass the last evening a giant that I don't even know what I was thinking.
Yeah, you said, boy, that'd be a great deer for you to shoot if you had your bow. I wish you'd have brought it. And I was thinking to myself, boy, me too.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, like it came in behind us. We had watched all these deer funnel to the same trail for what it was. We did a morning sit and an evening sit and watched all these deer. So finally, I begged him. I was like, let's just be aggressive and go after these. Because he kept sitting back and sitting back and sitting back and just watching every deer in the country blow to the other state. So finally, he's like, all right, we're going after him. Go down the creek, walk up the bank, hang up in there. And I think we saw a couple does maybe.
it was pretty slow.
And then out of nowhere, he taps me on my shoulder. And I look back and you can just see horns kind of coming through the cedars. And I'm like cranked around the stand, perfect footage. And I'm like, I'm torqued. So I'm shaking with everything I've got. And Levi's just sitting there. And just sitting there, and just sitting there, and then the deer comes in, and I'm like, "Are you gonna shoot him or not? I think you should shoot him. Just shoot him, Levi. I think he'd be good for you to shoot if you had your bow. I'm not gonna shoot him." And then walks off. Come to find out, later in the year, you wanted to kill him.
Yeah. Well, the more so that was kind of our recon stage of the season. Like Nebraska's the least me and Andy hunt together there, and so I was there we were putting a bunch of Reconyx cameras out.
Yep.
We were trying to figure out what's there because some years there's 190s, some years there's 140s. You know, we just didn't know, and we had got a glimpse of a couple giants from way off. And so this is a 130-inch 8-point, but he's massive bodied, like just impressive, like stupid to pass this deer. But and I was taking my son's baseball coach, Joe Leonard, who'd never hunted out of state, later, and I was like, man, that would be the perfect. I'm just thinking about, Matt.
That was the Joe he meant. He didn't really mean you.
Yeah, different Joe.
The truth comes out.
I didn't really care.
That'd be a great deer for Joe to kill.
You're sitting there thinking like, yeah, it would. Sure
different
would.
Joe. But I'm thinking about Matt and all, and so I'm like, I'm going to just let him go. He lives here. He's comfortable,
You did that twice.
Yeah.
The morning sit too, where they came out.
Oh, I passed a couple really good deer that morning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, then we started getting pictures and I'm like, yeah, like there's some giants, and we saw them later.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Nebraska kicked our butt. I'll just go into Nebraska later and for now, but it kicked our butts. I shot 2 bucks there that are nice, but
that was a 2 hunt for me. I'm going to rate that a 2. It was horrible. The bugs were bad.
Yeah.
The deer sucked. The wind sucked. Good food, good working.
And I got constipated. So
we won't go too deep on that. But it was
not
rough.
Pretty. Not pretty in an airport. Bad. Yeah. Details we'll leave out, but let's just say whoever was in the next stall thought I died.
Levi's got some wild audio clips.
Yeah. Anyway, next was Kansas.
Yep.
Lexi Aaron, John, the Westons out there, Rawhide, really hit it off with those guys. A couple years ago, I went, killed a big drop tine deer. They have 17,000 acres on the Missouri River, tons of ground. Got to know them enough where they kind of let us run and gun a little bit, saddle hunt the way we want to hunt. I hate hunting, and they're like, you get in this tree. This is where you're going to hunt. This is the deer you're hunting.
Right.
I just don't enjoy it. It's cool for some people. 90% of the fun for me is strategizing and strategy and hanging and, let's put cameras out and figure them out. Like, that's the fun part of bow hunting to me. So I don't like just being the trigger man much. I will do it.
The hanging part, the hanging and tearing is 90% of the fun for me and him too.
Yeah, I bet you love that part.
We love that.
But so this year I was pumped. We started getting pictures with Lexi and them of a giant. And Scott Langley, who's from Oklahoma but hunts there, really good friends with them. Great friend of mine. We were all looking at the same pictures. Like, we all have the password to the app. We're watching. This giant typical's coming in. I'm like, Scott, you going to go kill him? Scott's like, man, I got a mountain goat hunt. And I'm like, hate that for you. I do. I hate to go out there, but I'm going to, and so I'm on my way out there. He daylighted like 4 days in a row, and I'm like, he won't do it again, but I got to go. You can't sit at home. He's daylighting in the middle of the timber on a scrape line in White Oaks. So I'm on my way out there. Scott texts me, I'm on my way back, bud. I'll see you in Kansas.
Ooh.
And I'm like, we got to get there. So it's like pedal to the metal. No, we get to Kansas. He's going to be in a day after us. And I already texted him. I said, dude, if you want to hunt this deer, I'll hunt a different deer. And he's like, absolutely not. Get in there and hunt him. And so first sit, we're going to have a great win. And Lexi literally just gives us a pin on how to get in there. And me and Micah hike up a mountain. Like, you wouldn't think there's mountains.
Kansas, dude, and we just got back from like hunting Oregon.
It was rough.
Elk. I was like, this is awful.
Really?
It was up there. I'm talking about
It was just steep.
steep.
I mean, just like your calves were burning.
I mean, dude, this
25
was
yards, y'all.
This was like where this buck was coming in. It was where a bunch of ridges just met. But I'm talking about not gradual ridges. I'm talking about spine ridges, like cliffs almost, like straight drops on all sides. And so we got this 20-mile-an-hour north wind. It was a cold front blew in, stout wind, first big wind of the year. And so I felt very confident if we could get in there without spooking him, that we would kill him. However, we had our directions a little mixed up. The east-west thing is really still getting us pretty bad. So we're going in on Spartan Forge, watching these pins, and where I think she's got the camera faced. Well, it was the opposite. We get in there, wind's blowing where it ain't supposed to be blowing. I panic. I'm pitching a fit in the woods. Mike has
I can only imagine.
Mike has to calm me down. He said, "Hey, bud, if
said-
Mike is calming you down, you won't gone off the rocker."
I'm pretty calm.
Mike has been known to pitch a fit or two.
Well, I did say, you know what happens on these cluster F hunts?
Yeah, he did. He said, "You know what happens? Everything goes wrong. We kill him. Everything was wrong." I said, "We blew
Which
him
is
out."
a very true statement.
Yes,
True.
I said we blew him out. There's no way we didn't blow him out. The wind's blowing on the ridge we think he's bedding on the whole walk in. Like, it's all over. Our whole trip here is ruined. We just drove across the country for nothing. Get up, we hang, get the wind right. I'm sitting there, and we get in at like 12 o'clock. It gets dark at like 7:30. I'm like, this is going to be a long afternoon of nothing. He was the only deer there. There wasn't does showing up. There wasn't little bucks. That was it. So I'm sitting there texting Lexi, texting Scott, and they're all optimistic. And I'm like, it ain't going to happen.
You know they're having a conversation behind your back being like, this idiot.
Yeah.
No shot he's killing this.
Yeah. Well, 3 o'clock, I'm sitting there. I look up and see horns coming from where you would never think a deer would come out of. Straight up through a bunch of pawpaws. I'm talking about out of the depths of hell. He came where he was bedding. Perfect. He was not anywhere close to where we thought he was. And it's just a lesson you learn over and over, whitetail hunt. They're never where you think they're at. And so he comes up. I see him at 28 yards, I think.
Yeah, he was close.
That's how tight it is up there on this top. And I'm like, Mike, like instantly it was panic. Every camera's going on. We got like 4 cameras rolling.
Back up a little bit. We had all the cameras on. They're rolling. not rolling, but they're on. But Levi's like, he's like, you put a jacket, you took your stuff off to put a jacket
Got
on.
cold.
So
Pulled a Hunter Phelps.
I did.
he
I
did.
pulled a Hunter Phelps and got dressed after we'd been sitting there for 2 hours.
But the crazy part is I'm talking, as soon as he puts his bino harness back on,
Clipped it in.
clips it, he goes, he's right here.
He was walking right at me.
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like,
How far was he?
I shot him at 13.
No,
or
when you
4
saw him, how far was he?
under 30.
he couldn't have been no.
Oh my
I'm
god.
thinking,
Yeah.
like,
Do you want to vomit?
Yeah, maybe
20.
25. It was 181 inch typical at 28 yards at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, walking right at you. Panic. Okay.
Yep.
Like, I don't know which way he's going to go. We've got a tiny window to kill him right here on this ridge.
tiny.
And so literally he walks into the perfect shooting lane again, the one lane on this scrape, stops. I bleed him because he's walking. I didn't realize he was going to stop with the licking branch. And he stops and 15 yards double lung him. We found him and had him back out off the mountain before dark. First sit in Kansas.
The only deer
That's
we
sick.
saw the whole trip. The only deer we saw.
The only time we hunted, but yes,
I mean, you were in the woods for 10 minutes.
2.5 hours.
I'll take it.
Did you apologize for pitching a fit?
I think I said something later. I didn't deserve that, and I didn't. I don't deserve any of the success I have, but I literally was in a bad mood because I was, you know how you get, you put everything into it, so much planning, so much strategy, every ounce of you into like every thought about this deer for weeks.
Right.
And then you get there and you put this perfect plan together and you get up there and you start checking the wind and the camera's facing a way you didn't think it was facing. So he's been coming in from this side of the camera and you think it's facing west and it's facing east. So everything's flipped. And it's like, I said, it's over. And he come from the most perfect.
You got it done.
Yeah, I got it done.
All right. 1 to 10.
That would, I mean, how you not give that a 10?
181 in Kansas at 3 p.m.
First sit. I mean, that was, but that's just like.
What do you give it? You give it 10.
I'm gonna give it a 9.6.
Okay.
It wasn't a 200.
I mean, that's,
Lee or Mark Drury probably wouldn't have shot that deer.
Levi Morgan would.
By gosh.
I hope so. If not, I ain't coming with you this year.
Yeah, it's
I'm
fine.
done.
Yeah.
staying.
Done.
Honestly, guys, we're not going to be able to get through this whole season.
This is going to be a multi-part.
Yeah, it'll be a part 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a good place to stop it because after this, the wheels fall off of our season and we have no luck.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, you
We
had
have-
luck.
We have Mississippi and Texas still. You
Sucked. I'll give them a 3 at best. I'm joking. That's a total joke.
It was like,
hey, I'm gonna
my
give my hunt
God.
at least an 8.
Yeah, no, Mississippi, Texas, phenomenal. We went
Yep.
twice to both places. So we got a lot of stories left, a lot of content left to tell you guys about, a lot of experiences, ups and downs. But with tacos are ready.
Yeah, I was about to say. Most importantly, we got tacos.
Tacos are
Taco
ready.
Tuesday. Tacos.
Yeah, Samantha makes mean tacos. I gotta be honest.
What's for
Joe.
dessert?
I don't know, but she made this dip. Did you get the dip the last time? She's been making this
Did
dip.
I get it when I was here?
Maybe phenomenal.
She made it tonight?
Yeah.
Wait, is it
Phenomenal.
for the? Is it the crab dip?
No, this is it's like a vegetable dip, really healthy too, but it's super good with like tortilla chips.
Let's dive in.
I actually put it on my taco.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's end this podcast right.
Let's end it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
We
We're-
promise to be more consistent.
promise.
Yep.
We're back,
We are back.
but this was the restart
Yeah.
of Maniml for 2024, and we got a lot of stuff to tell you about. So let's go eat some tacos, and then look for part 2 of the hunt recap.